Yeah.
Was it Bob? Is that his name?
No, it wasn't
Bob or
Bill. Bill Wiesner. It wasn't Bill this time, was it?
Yeah, it was the same guy.
Oh, was it? The sign.
Was different.
Okay,
It was.
we're ready to get started. First of all, I want to welcome everyone from here tonight. Oh my gosh, I got to push on buttons.
No.
No,
I guess
As
not.
long as the
touch
red
anything.
one is depressed, you don't have to mess with anything.
Don't touch anything.
Don't touch anything.
He goes,
But
"Yes, every
I
time
got
we're
to
in
do
this
the
room."
red one, right?
As long as it's in the
as long
down
as it's down,
position.
which it is.
Okay. Folks, we're in a new room tonight, new microphones, so everyone bear with us. But anyway, thank you for those at home that are watching us, as well as those here in the audience. Before we start, I would like to begin our meeting by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the territory of the Ottawa and Chippewa peoples. We have who have stewarded this land throughout the generations, and we want to thank you for your strength and resilience in protecting this land and inspiring us to uphold our responsibilities to do the same. Again, as we proceed in our meeting and as we converse with each other, may we do so with respect, dignity, patience, and charity. So with that, for the audience, this is a much different room. We'll be here for the next 3 meetings that we have here as the regular chambers get remodeled and redone. Hopefully after the first of the year, we'll be back in there. That's the goal. So just bear with us as we try to figure out how to work all this stuff. So, and if you can't hear us, let somebody wave their hands. We'll do our best to take care of that. So with that, we'll open with the roll call, please. Pledge. Where's the flag? There's the flag. Okay. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. With that, roll call, please.
Commissioner Treadwell?
Here.
Commissioner Stanley?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Shamrow?
Here.
Commissioner Walter?
Here.
Commissioner Werner?
Here.
Mayor Lewis?
Here.
I show Mark Wilson as excused.
Okay. Announcements from the Assistant City Manager.
Yes, I just have one, and that is Saturday, December 3rd, was the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. As you may know, I'm the ADA coordinator, making sure that city-owned properties are as compliant as possible with ADA. And this is an annual observance, and it was proclaimed in 1992 by the United Nations General Assembly. The International Day of Persons with Disabilities goal is to promote an understanding of disability issues and mobilize support for the dignity, rights, and well-being of people with disabilities. Thanks.
Thank you. Announcements from the Deputy City Clerk.
So meetings scheduled for this week are the Planning Commission will meet Tuesday, December 6th at 7 p.m. in the training room. The Parking Advisory Board will meet Wednesday, December 7th at 11 a.m. in the committee room. And the Joint Recreational Authority will meet on Wednesday, December 7th at 7 p.m. at the Garfield Township Hall. We're always looking for individuals expressing interest in boards and commissions. In current expiring terms of vacancies, we have our Local Officers Compensation Commission, Downtown Development Authority, and Brown Bridge Advisory. Community updates. The city received resume and letters of interest from 11 applicants for the upcoming city commission vacancy. Interviews will be held on Wednesday, December 14th at 7 p.m. here in the training room. And lastly, I would like to remind the commissioners, staff, and members of the public to speak into the microphone so those watching at home and the recording of this meeting is easily heard. And for in this room, if you can project your voice as much as possible, as we do not have amplification speakers at the moment. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. With that, while you have the floor, you can go ahead with the consent calendar.
Sounds good. The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed therefrom and placed elsewhere on the agenda for individual consideration by the commission. And such requests will be automatically respected. If an item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted in the parentheses on the agenda is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. 1, consideration of approving the minutes of the November 21st, 2022 meeting of the City Commission. Approval recommended. Two, consideration of authorizing a confirming purchase order for the Washington and Wellington Street sewer repair. Approval recommended. 3, consideration of authorizing an amendment to the agreement with Child and Family Services of Northwest Michigan for its provision of youth works personnel for various services at the Hickory Hills Recreations Area for the 2022-2023 ski season. Approval recommended. Number 4, consideration of authorizing a contract for the volleyball courts expansion at West End Beach. Approval recommended. 5, consideration of authorizing a confirming purchase order for unleaded gasoline for city operational use. Approval recommended.
Okay. Is there anyone on the commission that would like to have an item removed from the consent calendar?
Item 4.
Item 4. Okay. Anyone else have an item from the consent calendar they'd like to have removed? Okay. Anyone from the audience that would like to have an item removed from the consent calendar? Anyone? Well,
They're
okay,
removed.
we got that one. Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, do I hear an do I hear
I'll make
entertainment
the
of a
motion that we accept the consent calendar as amended.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I need some water. Anyway, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion passes. Item removed from the consent calendar is consideration of authorizing a contract for the volleyball court expansion at West End Beach. So, you're going to bring this up, or?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So this is an item that was debated at the July 18th City Commission meeting. The City Commission at that time authorized city staff to seek requests for proposals for this volleyball court expansion in the amount not to exceed $60,000. And then, if so, the contract was to be brought back to the City Commission. The bid that was received was under the $60,000, so staff is bringing it back to the City Commission. Again, it was debated at the July 18 City Commission meeting. Unfortunately, Frank Tuturi is unable to be here tonight, but Michelle Hunt is here to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Okay. You asked to have this pulled, Mr.
Yes,
Treadwell?
this is a topic that perhaps I, as a member of the Parks and Rec Commission, have dealt with more than most, but it is something that there has been considerable public opinion about, both for and against, and I thought that there might be some people in the audience that would like to weigh in on this,
Okay.
as well as there being ongoing concerns about whether it's really the best use of our valuable grass and bayfront land.
Okay. Thank you. Any other commissioners have any questions? Okay. I'm going to open it up, if you don't mind, for public comment or input on this item at this point. Then we can get back to our discussion.
We ask that you state your name and address, indicate if you are a city resident, non-city resident, and/or city business owner. We have a 3-minute time allotment per speaker. When your time has elapsed, the timer will beep, and finally, we request that all language be respectful to all parties.
Thank you, Rick Buckholder, 932 Kelly Street, I'm Trailers resident. What bothers me is this is a special interest group, and there's 3 parties involved in this, and only one is represented in the volleyball group. And you've got people who all day long in the summertime and have, since the 1980s, played on the grassy area, whether it's kickball or cornhole or throwing the frisbee around or whatever. That is the only area on the whole waterfront with space to do that. There's nothing to the west of it, to the West End Beach. There's nothing along Clinch Park Beach. It's just too narrow, or there's too many people. That is the only spot. So the issue that I've been hearing, which is limited information, is that only the interests of the volleyball group are represented. And I don't know if there's any possible way for the thousands of people a week that use the beach, and to a lesser extent the grassy area, are getting pushed out. You're degrading what it took the city 20 years back in the mid-1980s to take the tracks out and create a green open space So the issue shouldn't be just is the volleyball courts area so heavily used that you have to expand it. This has been denied twice already, saying 6 is enough. I agree from what limited information I read, that most of the volleyball time period is closer to after work when they're so busy. During the day, I'm down there all the time when I'm riding my bike at the beach, and usually just half of the courts are used by teenagers or college kids. So I have seen nothing in the discussion to find out if this is what we should do, because you can't turn it back once you do it. I mean, this is a special interest group that apparently has a year of a lot of people. I don't like the fact that that's happening. You're going to widen the trail along the waterfront, which is going to have severe consequences in the narrowest spots. You've got some stuff coming up at the senior center, which I said I'm not going to talk about, but it's got to matter than that. Look at what you did at Clinch Park. That isn't what the people wanted. Look what's happening to Hull Park. Look what happened to American Legion Park. Look what happened to Union Street Park, almost. And there should be more broad-based analysis of whether this is a smart thing to do. I don't know how smart the people on the Parks Commission are. I don't know if they could figure out a better way to get the leagues in, which is the core of the problem, to solve this problem. Maybe it's something that you as a commission should put your minds together and see if there's a better solution to just further trashing the minimal green space that we have. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to have an input? Okay, thank you. Back to the commission.
I would just remind it that I appreciate that Penny Hill put in that we voted on this on July 18th. It was part of our budget discussions. It was then brought up as a separate discussion over, I believe, 2 or 3 meetings. As well as, I just would like to point out to people, because I think sometimes it gets a little bit too much of a halo on it, that the entire open space is available for cornhole and other games. It's just on the trail there, and I would personally love to see more people engage in using it. I'm not saying that that's a reason for this to go through and expand, but I think it's a good time to remind people that all of our parks are open, and including Hall Park, which has a lot of great activity at it too.
Back on the 18th, I don't know if I was the sole lone vote against the idea, but the commission made a decision. The commission made it. It doesn't make a difference individually what we wanted to do. We put the parameters on to go out for an RFP. We said if it comes in under $60,000, we would proceed. To date, we have received 2 emails. I think we shouldn't do that. So at this point, I will follow the will of what the commission desired back, a few weeks back in July, and move forward with it because it met the parameters that we put forth. So with that, anyone else like to put in some comments? They may, but I'll be glad to entertain a motion. Unless you want to wait until we have a full board at the next meeting.
No.
Huh?
Can't hear.
I said unless we want to wait until we have a full board at the next meeting. I do have a habit of mumbling, so just make sure you remind me to open my mouth. Thank you.
Which doesn't have a motion up. I'll make the motion that the city manager be authorized to issue a purchase order, Elmer's Crane and Dozer, Inc. of Traverse City, in the amount not to exceed $57,852, with funds available in the Capital Projects Fund.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there support to this motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion is adopted. Thank you. All right, next we go to old business is an agreement from regarding a contract for medical transport services. This would be a contract with MMR. Now, this is an item that the mayor and the assistant city manager have worked quite a bit over. I know the ad hoc committee, while we haven't seen the agreement, have heard a number of the details that are included in the agreement. So we kind of knew what was coming forward. And the only reason it wasn't on the agenda or for our last meeting, there was one not technical detail, but it was kind of another minor detail way down in the list there that they wanted to make sure got reserved and it got resolved. Thank you, right word. It resolved, and obviously it has. So with that, I'll turn this over to the Assistant City Manager, Penny Hill, to go through the highlights of the agreement.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. The agreement that has been negotiated with MMR incorporates many of the recommendations that were found in the Tri-Data study, which I'll list them out. One requires the use of automatic vehicle locators and requires the use of Crew Force, the software that's in use by Grand Traverse County 911 dispatch. That those two items are in effect right now. MMR was able to get those implemented even before this contract was finalized, so we appreciate that. We are having quarterly meetings to review the contract and performance under the contract. We are also requiring the contractor to pay an ALS assistance fee of $250 per incident if the contractor arrives on scene with only one person on the responding ambulance. I would like to note that MMR has not had a single person on an ambulance run. They typically do send two, so it's an insurance, but it's not likely to occur. And then requires that MMR would pay an ALS intercept fee in the event that the city performs an ALS intercept on a contractor-originated response. That means if MMR is to respond to the incident and we need to be there, it would be another intercept fee of $250. We do have, I did provide a copy of the proposed agreement, and we do have representatives from MMR here present if you have questions for them.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple questions. So the one person that you just addressed, $250 fee, I have two questions about that. One, are those two people both EMTs or paramedics? And also, I guess I kind of am looking for, and I didn't see it, and granted, I had a busy weekend, so if I missed it, I apologize. It's just consistently a $250 fee, or does this go into, if it's a consistent problem, it can be grounds for termination of our contract? Because I do have concerns that that's not a hefty fee, nor should we necessarily be punitive, but if something is repeatedly a problem, then I would also hate to think that we just keep accepting $250 checks and not getting good service for our citizens.
Right, and that is part of the quarterly compliance performance review.
But my question is, are they guaranteed to EMTs or paramedics, or is it a driver? And then also, is that part of our, so that is part of our termination? If at a review, we find that there's too many $250 fines, we have the right to terminate the contract?
There would be, yes. It's satisfactory performance.
Okay, that would fall under the satisfactory performance.
Also, your other question, I believe under item I, it says at least one paramedic on each advanced life support unit will be licensed by the state of Michigan.
Yes, I read that,
So I believe
but-
at least one person has to be, the second one, I guess, could be EMS.
That's what I was asking the question of,
Yes.
so.
Yes,
Could
that's
be,
correct.
but
Okay.
at least one has to be a paramedic.
I saw some heads nodding, so is there someone, we mentioned there was somebody from MMR, if they want to address that?
If I got that correct.
Yes.
You got that part correct. I was asking
Thank you.
what the experience level of both people would be. Hi.
My name is Amy Fairchild, I'm the operations manager for the Northwest Division here at MMR. The experience level of both people, there would be at minimum one EMT and one paramedic.
Okay.
We do not have just ambulance drivers, they're all listed in
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
I have questions related to, I don't know if you want to stay up there or not.
We should.
Okay. This is related to response time expectations under the performance standards, section 8. there's a few items in there, and I know this has been a concern. I'm wondering, I know that we have, an out 180 days notice, so does MMR, if we wish to end our contract and enter into some other arrangement or agreement with somebody else or whatever we proceed with. But under performance standards, is there a policy that we will, I know with the new system in place, which is great, so we can really track this more effectively on both sides. But is there some kind of a policy that will accompany this to say we will be monitoring this internally and then reviewing it on every month or every quarter and having a dialogue? Is there a policy in place that will accompany this?
Number C.
Letter C.
Letter C, if I read it right, it's reviewed every 2 months. You have to be there on a priority call. Shall be calculated response every 2 months, so every 2 months it is going to be reviewed.
Yes, the review, but what about our own internal policy to say, at what point do we say no
Yeah.
or no-go, right? Like, this isn't,
Yeah.
What triggers a
what is
response?
satisfactory? How long, we're going to review it, but then what?
We did not put that specific trigger into this contract. It is part of, what the hope is that, number one, during the performance review and the response time measurement, that will come out in the quarterly meetings, and everybody has a chance to improve, right? So the thought is that if there's consistent lack of performance or consistent degradation of performance, then that would trigger the review back to, it would come back to the city commission.
Can I piggyback on either?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not really part of this contract, but I would actually, if we do adopt this contract, I would like to bring that back, because I agree, we don't want to terminate just because there's one bad quarter or something, but I also don't want it to get into 2-3 years down the line, because we're meeting every 2 months. It just kind of becomes part of the scenery, but there's performance issues every couple of reviews. So I would like the city to bring to us in the new year, if we do adopt this, then a policy that will be the trigger effect for our end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we owe it to ourselves and to our
Yeah.
relationship with MMR, mostly to the people of Traverse City and our firefighters. That is a very clear policy and expectation,
Mhm.
and not just, we're going to review it.
Yeah. Ms. Fairchild?
If I may, along with the data that we'll be presenting to you every 2 months, it will have response times in there, and it's raw data. It's not in there adjusted because of weather or because of this. If there's exceptions, you'll receive a reason for the exception from me, and I'll be there to present it in person. So for us, we do match a national standard. So for priority 1, we want to be there in under 9 minutes.
Mhm.
If there's some sort of extenuating circumstances such as roads, we got 2 feet of snow, it will be notated, and we'll make sure that you guys understand that. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to make sure that you have those answers.
And that's appreciated. I think our point, to be clear to everybody, this contract doesn't get into it. The city has to respond. It gives us our outs and our obligations. So that would be something we would internally have to be working on. And so that's just really where our question's coming from. So, but thank you for your information, Ms. Fairchild.
Also, for clarification also, this will not stop the work or the further consideration by the ad hoc committee to continue to investigate the other options that we may want to look at in the future. One of the things that we have learned so far is that even if we wanted to start today, it would be 2 years before, a year and a half to 2 years before we can even get an ambulance, and you're struggling with everybody's struggling with the same issue. And not to mention hiring people, and as well as getting room in our stations, which we know is another issue. So this doesn't stop that work of the ad hoc committee, because we'll continue to do that. So I know that question was asked of me by the reporter earlier, and I thought I better say it out loud to everybody else before you see it on TV.
It does address a few aspects of the Tri-Data study,
Yeah.
which is also informing
Yeah.
our work on the ad hoc, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of other
Yeah.
pieces.
In fact, this is one of the top priorities of the staff recommendations, so we're now down to if we adopt this tonight, it's down to the last two items, which is a little bit more long-term thinking that we have to work on, continue to work on, so thank you. All right. Any other questions? Thank you for your answer. I'm going to open this up also to the public to see if there's questions they may have. Okay. I also want to recognize Chief Tuller. Thank you for your work on this also, Chief, and helping to get the right information in there and make sure we get it covered. So we'll take it from there. Okay. Unless any other questions, yes, sir.
I'm going to make a motion that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute a 3-year contract with Mobile Medical Response, no cost to the city, for EMS ambulance services within the city of Traverse City limits as outlined in the Assistant City Manager's memo dated November 14, 2022. Such contract subject as to its substance by the city manager and its form by the city attorney.
Support.
We have a motion and we have support. Okay. Okay. With that, I've already opened it up to the public. I'll do it one more time. Anybody else have any questions they want to address to us? Okay. Hello. Anyway, take it from there. Okay, we have a motion to support. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes. Also, for your information, I have passed this along to Garfield Township because they're looking to upgrade their agreement. So at least they can have a discussion to have the same agreement as we have. So there you go. I got called by the supervisor wondering. So, yeah. Okay. With that, we are now down to new business, and new business one is consideration of entering into a closed session immediately following public comment. Portion of the agenda, consider possible purchase of real property. There will be action of one item anticipated following the closed session. So there we go. We need a motion to do so.
I'll go ahead and make the recommendation that the City Commission enter into closed session immediately following the public comment portion of the agenda to consider the purchase of real property pursuant to MCL 15.268D. And a roll call vote with 4 affirmative votes is required.
Support. Put a reminder.
Okay, we have a motion and support.
Roll call.
I'm going to do a roll call. I had it underlined on here so I wouldn't forget this time.
Good job.
I'm getting better at, huh?
Public comment.
I don't think you're doing procedural, though, do you?
Sure.
Sure, we
You
can.
know, anybody want to make a public comment? Because we really can't answer anything, but you're more than, we don't anyway. Okay, thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Stanley? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Shamrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Walter?
Yes.
Commissioner Werner?
Yes.
Commissioner Treadwell?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. We have a second closed session, consideration of entering into a closed session to consider attorney-client communication. Under this one, we will not come out with any, no recommendations or any action will be required. It's just an update.
So I'll make the recommendation that the city commission enter into the closed session immediately following the public comment portion of the agenda to discuss an attorney-client communication as authorized by MCL 15.268H.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Wait a minute. I saw a hand up here first. I'm going to give it to Ms. Stanley. Thank you. All right. I'll open this for public comment. All right. I even underlined this one. I've been known to forget things right between them. All right. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Shamrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Walter?
Yes.
Commissioner Werner?
Yes.
Commissioner Treadwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley? Yes. Mayor?
Yes. Okay, with that, we have reports and announcements and correspondence that are in your packet. We also, so that brings us down to public comment. We have no reserved public comment. I'll open this up for general public comment. Hi.
We already did the rules.
Huh?
Shoot, it did the rules. Yeah.
Oh, we just said that the rules haven't changed since earlier, right?
Yeah.
I hope not.
Okay.
Full name, address,
Yeah.
Yeah.
state the intent of my business. I'm Andrea, I go by Andy Henschel. I actually live in Grayling, Michigan, but I'm the new executive director of Disability Network Northern Michigan. So I wanted to say thank you for your acknowledgement to International Day of People with Disabilities. And then I hope you guys also remember ADA was signed on July 26th, so that. But I also wanted to introduce myself and say thank you for your continuing efforts and work for making Traverse City accessible, and that we will be looking to come to you in the future, myself and my associate director, Alana. We would like to have a visibility walk, which would be a walk and roll event through downtown Traverse City or somewhere. And so I'm just opening it up that we would be coming for partnership or pursuit of mission, and that we're here to help support the city and other businesses with their ADA and other ways. So thank you for what you do and for your service to the city, and that's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Congratulations. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Any items to come from the mayor or city commissioners?
I was just going to give a quick shout out as the holidays are coming, and I saw there's already one sold out event. If people aren't aware, there's going to be a new comedy festival that the DDA in downtown are putting on the first weekend of February. So one event's already sold out, so get your tickets, and makes a great holiday gift. So
Okay. Also, just for anyone that would like to see a final show, Friday night is the swing dance and the stars, if I remember correctly. So if anyone wants to see 15 years of great work with a grand finale, that's taking place Friday night. So, please do so. No, I'm not dancing this time.
I was gonna
No, no,
say.
No.
This is your last time.
Richard's alum coming up.
It was a disaster the last time. So there you go. What?
Go back.
Nonsense.
I'll show you the video. I'll still
Our
have.
mayor danced in a previous season, multiple nights, because he was a
Really?
participant.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
When he was just a commissioner then.
And I thought he would never get off the floor from laughing so hard, but it's okay. So anyway, we'll take it from there. All right. Yes, sir.
Yes, Frank is not present and Michelle has already left, but I would like to commend city staff for quickly transitioning, once the snow was gone, to remounting the leaf removal equipment on the plow trucks and pushers, and in the span of about 3.5 days, clearing
finished.
all the city of its fall leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the effort. We'll be back in the spring. Pay attention, so. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay, with that, we will close this part of the meeting and go into closed session. We will be back.
Anybody who has sheets to sign, you can bring them up now and
Yeah.
probably pretty much be done.
Yeah.
So, I know I
The
walked in-
students?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I walked in with a couple of students, so I know we've got a few.
Come on down. What you got?
We go over into the construction zone for closed session.
You're part of the meeting.
Is it?
You can
Okay,
zero at the
that's where they're
meeting.
spending the money?
I said, when it says time spent, be like whole meeting. Yeah, you picked a good one.
Ouch.
Well, you only have a few more left. Who knows what you're going to get?
Placebo effect. Yeah.
Yes.
We are back.
But you do.
You good? Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're back in open session. We do have one item as relates to bring up as relates to a certain, to an item that we had discussed and approved a few months back as relates to a purchase of property on 145 West Front Street. It came back because it's in a state that it needed to go back through an appraisal, and so the appraisal brought the figure in higher than what we had originally adopted, so we need to redo the motion so that we can move forward with the closing.
So that the motion approving the agreement from September 19th, 2022 be rescinded, and further that the mayor and city clerk execute the real estate purchase and sale agreement with Federated Properties 145 LLC for the purchase of parcel number 28-51-794-002-60, the north 42-foot strip of 145 West Front Street, in the amount of $1,250,000. Such agreement subject to approval as to its substance by the city manager and to its form by the city attorney, with funds to come from parking system fund.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Support.
Support. Yes, sir.
Yeah, from the first purchase, I think, however long ago that was, 8 years maybe, I've been supportive of this effort, but along the way, at least twice before COVID, I spoke at the city commission meeting publicly, one time saying that I wanted to see redevelopment of surface parking lots, and I pushed hard for that redevelopment to happen before moving ahead with the West End parking deck, because prior to that, it was always had been assumed we'll build the deck and then we'll look into redevelopment of surface parking lots. And then the other thing that I'd spoken publicly about in the city commission meeting was my support for the West End parking deck would increase the more that we increase the walkability and bikeability of downtown. And what I've seen over the past year is that we're moving in the wrong direction with walkability and bikeability. And so at this time, I'll be not supporting anything to do with the West End parking deck, but that could change in the future should we develop surface parking lots and increase our walkability and bikeability downtown. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We have a motion. We have a second. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait. All those opposed say no.
No.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Treadwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Shamrock?
Yes.
Commissioner Walter?
Yes.
Commissioner Werner?
No.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay. With that, we have no other business to move on, unless you just want to stay and jaw. I would now I call this meeting adjourned.
I know.
The paint and